Yeah. How are we doing?
I'm debate on intercession of saints anytime. Justin Martin.
Take a drink, man. Take a drink. You've done a good job.
Thank you very much.
Can I question you about what happened last week?
Yeah, go on. Sorry. I'm being trolled by Bloodfire.
No problem, but
I'm one of those Muslim
what I'm going to do is first, I'm going to lay it out factually as it occurs. Then I'm going to put a question to you. I know you're going to disagree with me, but I know you'll then answer.
Cannot pray to Mary.
So if I can lay it out factually, you was having a discussion last week with a gentleman we called the fake sheikh.
Last week we had a discussion with a fake. I don't think he's a fake sheikh. I think he's a real sheikh.
Yeah. So I've called him the fake sheikh.
Okay, fair enough.
What then happened, and I'm laying it factually first, he then bumped into you. That is not in dispute. What then happened, was then you then reacted to him by pushing him. What then happened was the fake sheikh's bodyguard who was standing there like this. He then rushed in and started pushing you. What then happened was then Soka, your cameraman, he got pushed and then all hell broke loose after that. Is that factually correct how it occurred? And then I'll put the point to you.
I would generally agree with that chronology,
So, what I'm now going to argue, which you may disagree, I want you, and I know you'll answer the question. I believe, based upon the evidence that I've seen purely from my video, that when the sheikh bumped into you, it was not an intentional act, it was an accident. That's my opinion.
That's fine.
But you can contradict that.
I will.
Then argued your reaction was disproportionate based upon the fact that his bumping into you was an accident. The third point is, over the last couple of months, I've seen similar incidents twice, where with your disproportionate reaction. So I would like for you to answer those points. But what I believe is that, and you know I don't normally give an opinion, but I'm giving a factual.
You're giving an interpretation.
An interpretation.
The facts are not in dispute, but your interpretation of the facts I'm going to dispute.
That's no, and that is so great. That is so great. But I have seen twice similar disproportionate reactions. I know there's a history down here with Muslims, Christians, so I can understand what happened. So I'll now give you the opportunity to answer the points.
So you try to suggest that well, let's just call him Abdul Sheikh Crutch, Sheikh Abdul Crutch, that he accidentally bumped into me. When you actually look at the evidence, on a number of occasions, he came right close to me. There was no accident in what he did. He came close to me, he reached over and he pushed. That is what the video shows, so long as you can see it from the right angle. And that means that it was intentional. It was not an accident. Like, you don't accidentally reach into someone's space and then make contact with them. You're making a choice to do that, and he did it deliberately. The reality is that the Islamist mindset, the supremacist mindset that a significant minority of Muslims have, mean that they think that they can treat and do to Christians whatever they want, and that we should just roll over and accept it. When Hatun Tash was attacked, there were Muslims that blamed her for her getting knifed. When she was knocked unconscious, there were Muslims that blamed her for her getting knocked unconscious. When Christians have been attacked in this park, other Christians have been attacked in this park, there are always Muslims trying to justify it. You can't let them control the narrative. You can't be so soft that you allow them to control the narrative. The reality is that the evidence in every single one of those incidents including the other one that you've referenced but not mentioned, I'm willing to bet when we look at the video evidence, I'm the one that's touched first.
Let's agree on both that point, yes. But my argument is that this disproportionate reaction, not it did or didn't happen, it's a fact it happened.
Yeah. So you're saying it's disproportionate. I was pushed and I pushed back. If his mob had just left it at that would have died. They would have been handbags at dawn moment and it would have been nothing. But the reality is his mob saw an opportunity to attack and they did. And that's the mindset that Christians face in Nigeria. It's the mindset that Christians face in Pakistan. It's a mindset that Christians face in France, and it is increasingly a mindset that we're seeing here in London. That if you stand up to a Muslim bully, you have invited some kind of, you're at fault then. And I simply refuse to accept that that's the way the world works. No one has to back down to this bullying ideology. No one has to back down to Islamist supremacism. Last Sunday, the Christians literally got their ass handed to them. Like, we all got beat up. We all got beat up. Yeah, we all got beat up. But, intellectually, the Sheikh's religion got minced. And you have all these Muslims saying it was a great victory, we beat up the Christians. That's no victory, it just shows you lost the argument. And you lost the argument because you couldn't defend your religion from criticism. And that is a demonstration of truth, that truth can stand up to criticism, and Islam is collapsing in the face of criticism.
Does it say somewhere in the Bible that you should turn the other cheek? Because I'm of the opinion, I'll give you my opinion, because you reacted, I'm arguing it was disproportionate, but we can disagree.
And we do.
But what kind of message is that sending to others when they see a leading light like yourself reacting to the way you did to the Sheikh? And I do agree that if it wasn't for the mob, the incident would have been over in a couple of seconds.
It was a nothing incident that got totally blown out of context. It was, the disproportionality was the Muslim response to my response. That's where the disproportionality is, StreetMic. It's not that I was disproportionate, it's that the Muslim mob was disproportionate.
But could that disproportionality...
Do you agree that it was disproportionate?
No, I do.
Yeah, okay.
But hence the reason I've used that legal word. But would you agree that disproportionality is influenced by the fact that down here there is history going back with Christians and Muslims, and any time, accident or not, something occurs, there's a reaction, and a big reaction.
Right. I am sorry. Forgive me, because I was looking for something to answer your question in the Bible and I didn't quite get your question. If you could just repeat it, please.
No, what I was trying to argue is that, is it not correct that because there is a history down here with Christians and Muslims, when something happens, it's likely to receive a disproportionate reaction due to the history going back many years?
So let me throw this back at you, because you're making the kind of faux pas that lots of commentators make when they try to be neutral and objective. Is that the history of this park is that in the 1970s, the police riot brigade used to have to do baton charges against violent mobs, 1980s, violent mobs who were attacking people for defending Salman Rushdie's right to write his book, The Satanic Verses. The history of this park is Muslims attacking non-Muslims and Muslims attacking one another. So when you frame the story as if it's somehow 6 of one and half a dozen of the other, you might be striving to sound neutral, but you're forfeiting honesty for neutrality. And the liberals do this all the time. When Christians were being butchered in the Molucas Islands of Indonesia by Islamic jihadis, the British media reported it as sectarian strife. When Christians are being butchered in northern Nigeria, the British media report it as sectarian strife. It's not sectarian strife. It's one religion slaughtering another religion. And if, for the sake of objectivity and neutrality, we sacrifice truth, then that objectivity and neutrality is not worth the paper it's written on. We must speak truth, even if it clearly puts the blame on one side.
As you know, Bob, I love you, and I know in answering you the questions, you will always give an honest and rational response, and there is nothing between me and you.
There's no animosity, yeah.
One question I will ask. I don't see your regular cameraman down here today.
Yeah.
Is he okay because he was also attacked?
Yes, JC was brutally beaten by a Muslim mob, along with another brother in the park. And I was lightly beaten by a Muslim mob in this park last Sunday. As far as I know, JC is fine. But there's many reasons why someone wouldn't come to the park. But can I go back to something you said? You said that, isn't there something in the Bible about turning the other cheek? And you're right, there is. In the Gospel of Matthew, and Christ says in his Sermon on the Mount that he says that it is said that an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I say to you that when someone strikes you on the right cheek, turn to him the left cheek, right? Now, there's lots of misinformed Christians who think that Jesus meant that literally. I'm going to show you biblical evidence that shows Jesus did not mean that literally. Why can I say that with such confidence? Because we actually have an account of Jesus himself being slapped in the face. So if Jesus meant it literally, we would expect to see Jesus do what? What would we expect him to do? We would expect to see Jesus turn the other cheek. So let's read the story and see what Jesus does. Reading in John chapter 18 from verse 22. When he had said this, one of the officers standing nearby struck Jesus, saying, "Is that the way you answer the high priest?" Jesus answered him. So at this point, you should expect Jesus to go, "Now strike my left cheek also," because Jesus said, "Offer him the other cheek." So if Jesus meant it literally, Jesus should now say, "You've struck me, now strike me again." That's what we should expect Jesus to say. But here's what he actually says. "If I have spoken wrongly, testify of the wrong, but if I have spoken rightly, why do you strike me?" So in other words, he doesn't turn the other cheek. He challenges the injustice in the only way that he can. And Christians, if you ask me what kind of message I want to give to Christians, is don't be bullied. Stand up to the bullies. Stand up to those that attack the church. Defend the church. Defend your brothers and sisters. Always operate within the law as you best can under the circumstances. Don't do vigilantism. Don't do gangsterism. Don't do thuggism like we saw last Sunday. But don't be bullied. Don't be a doormat. Christianity doesn't teach pacifism. It doesn't teach being a doormat.